Hello, Natroners, and welcome back to another episode of VFX with Natron. Today, we have an exciting episode, and we're going to do another episode with Mr. Tom Morley. Say something, Mr. Tom Morley.
Howdy, everybody.
Well, hopefully today's stream goes very well. So today we're going to be talking about Natron, the Burninator. What's a Burninator mean? It means that Natron's capable of burning something. As you know, last Saturday we put a Shadertoy node on top of a text node or some text that was burning. Well, a lot of people were like, oh, we want to know how to make things burn like we made them burn and that. Well, today we're going to be learning how to do that aspect of it, and we might actually put the Shadertoy node back in on top of it, although you should know from last week. Anyhow, I think it's time to hoist the properties and scrub the timeline, Mr. Morley. But first, I think we need to talk about, see what today's goal is, so people can see where we're going. So this is today's goal. Which it's very much the same as last week's show, except for the differences is that we don't need to do that. We're doing the first part of it. So here we are in Natron, and a lot of people are saying, well, wow, how did we do that? How did we make Natron burn? So the first thing we need to do is we need to attack how to set up our nodes or create our first nodes. The first thing we're going to do, we've talked about, by the way, I just want to bring up that we've talked about pre-multiplied versus non-pre-multiplied alpha channels in the past. And so today, you're going to see why that's important. We're going to be starting off with a bunch of constants. We're going to make 3 constants to be exact. So first thing we're going to do is over here, Natron. We're going to type in a constant. And I'm going to duplicate this 3 times. So, or copy it 3 times. And we're going to keep our bottom, we're going to keep them all, well, we're going to make our bottom one. We're going to keep it black, but we're going to make sure its alpha channel is 1 so that it stays black. On this top one, the first one, what we're going to do is we're going to make it a nice bright yellow, and we're going to, let's connect up to it so we can see it. We're going to make it a yellow. Now, what we're going to do, okay, so here we have, all I've done is I've taken my color values and I've set them to, for R and G, and set them to 1. Now for the B, what I'm going to do, I want to, I typically treat things as colors as there's a philosophy I have. Don't ever, when you're making a color, if you can't be blacker than black. So if something is supposed to be visibly black or a shade of black, you should keep it at, all right. If it's alpha, it's or completely black, true black, it's one thing to keep it black. But for colors, you need to keep, you want to have a little bit of color in everything, because when things add together, you don't want them to propagate into oversaturated colors. And you can actually do that in Natron in a lot of ways, but we won't want it to start off that way. So what I try to do is I'll try to treat go back to the early days where you were working on values of 0 or I should say 0 to 255, which is 256 values, which means that a value somewhere between 20% or between 20 and 30 was desirable for a value that was not an official or was considered off in the color range. So to get into that range, what I found a good one is in Natron is to put for values that are basically off, just put it at a value of 0.7. And what it does is it keeps it yellow, but it's got a wee bit of the last color, so that when we blend it together, it won't be pure yellow. It'll make our highlights more natural and realistic. All right, so that's the first thing. Second thing we're going to do is we're going to go to our second color, and we're going to make the second color. We're going to make it visible, and we're going to make it. Oh, I do need to also make sure that my alpha channel on that one is 1, and my alpha channel on this one is also 1. And what we're going to do for this one is make it red, and also make these ones 0.7 for the green and 0.7 for the blue, which leaves it at sort of a pinkish red. So there we go. So we have yellow for our first one, red for our second one, and black for our third one. And we're going to keep the black pure black because I really want that to look like it's black. I don't want it to be an actual shade. This is supposed to be void, emptiness, black. Not a shade. Void. Not like if I were doing my earphones or something like that, I would probably make this a 0.07 for across the board, because these are not black. They're a dark shade of gray. Anyhow, let's get into this. So this is a straight image. What we're going to be doing is turning this into fire. And the way we're going to be doing this is we're going to be merging it with something that is going to represent our fire as an alpha channel. So what I'm going to do is typically when I do this type of thing, I start off and I put a merge node in here and I pipe it in to the A input. And the reason for that is because if you do A over B, it means that it will come in and the B channel will specify our alpha channel. This way, these could be constants or could be solids. The only difference is that if you do this as a solid, you're going to have to enable the A channel, alpha channel checkbox, which is not going to be on by default. So what is our fire going to actually be made out of? Well, our fire is going to be made out of an SE noise. I've told you SE noise is a really useful thing, so we're going to go SE noise. Oh, there we go. And we put the SE noise in here, and we wind up with this. And we said, oh, it's also, that doesn't really look very fiery. Well, we're going to first do a few things. We're going to modify it. The first thing we're going to do is bring this down so that it's a lot smaller, so we have little licks of fire. The second thing we're going to do is we're going to set I'm going to increase the gain, and this is going to increase the contrast of the dark areas to the light areas of our color. So if I bring this up, I'm going to bring it up to 0.7. All right. So this is looking. We got little hints of black, and the details, these highlight details, are a lot more pronounced. All right. And just so everybody is aware right now, what we're seeing, just so you're very aware, and I showed this on Monday, what we're actually seeing is we've taken and we've turned this solid input into a pre-multiplied. We've pre-multiplied it with using this alpha channel over nothing. So that the result of this merge node is the equivalent of a pre-multiplied node. That's just what this is, okay? This isn't the only way. I could literally get rid of this and work this in, but I want this to be pre-multiplied in the first place because we're going to be reusing this node here, this noise node, all right? So the next thing we're going to do, we're going to take the output of this merge node and we're going to merge it with so that actually we're going to be putting this red in with the merge node, the yellow on top of it. All right. So that creates this. And so what this has done, and here I'm going to just show that this works. It doesn't matter if I break this off and I take this and merge, put that SE noise in here, I get the same result. The difference between the two is that when this comes in, this is making this pre-multiplied and putting that over putting the pre-multiplied image over this, whereas if I use this one, this is taking a non-pre-multiplied or straight image and putting it over this image using, basically, it's merging two straight alpha channels. But I actually want to merge this pre-multiplied with a non-pre-multiplied, so it effectively adds it together a second time. And what this is going to do is it's going to reduce the amount of yellow while increasing the amount of red. So it's going to bleed it. And that's going to become apparent when we actually merge this over this. And so what we're going to do with our black is we're going to put a merge node down here because we want to merge, again, the other over it. And as we can see right now, this is again a straight image coming in. And I'm going to, for the moment, what I'm going to do, just so that we see the result the way I want it to be, I'm going to disconnect that and first link this up and show you it beforehand. So if we just take the result of these two images together, pump them out and merge them over, so, what we wind up with is the yellow dominating with the red. So we have yellow highlights, but it's very orangey in this area. And by using the pre-multiplication so that it trims this down a second time, it reveals a lot of the red. So we can see here, this is without it, and this is with. All right. So we're using that halo from the pre-multiplication to create the additional red. We're taking advantage of it. And that is resulting in this nice transition from a very high yellow bright color to a much richer red, and then it goes to black, which creates this illusion of fire, or at least something very similar to fire. The problem is that if we were to play this at this point, it's very boring. It doesn't actually look like fire. What we're going to do is we're going to just take and merge those out over here so that they're all going off on their own. And we're going to focus on trying to make this SE noise, and we're going to turn off the checkerboard background, so we're looking at this. So the first thing I want to do is I want to feed a constant into the SE noise, so that this SE noise has it's being fed something that's bigger, because the SE noise right now has no there's no way to specify in here the actual size, the ROD, which we went over what ROD is. I want to increase the ROD of this, and so I can't, with the SE noise, set an ROD because it has no size. It's infinite in size. So what's happening is when it comes out, it actually is being cropped automatically to the size of our output. And just to show you what I mean by this, if I put a transform node here after it, because we want to transform it, and the reason we're doing that or using a transform node is so in case we want to use motion blur at some point, it's way better. There's no motion blur in the transform of the SE noise. All right. So if I take my Y transformation of this and I start, let's start scrubbing this up large amounts, and we can see that it's getting clipped around the edge. Our ROD for the SE noise by default is 1920 by 1080, and I want it to be larger than that. So how are we going to do that? Well, let's first of all set our transform back to 0, and then above this we're going to actually take Well, actually, let's take one of our constants. We'll take, actually, no, we're going to put in a brand new constant. We're going to put in constant. We're going to set that constant as a source. And we're going to keep, we want to keep this one so that it's pure black. But we're going to change its extents to a size. All right? And what we're going to do for the size is we're going to take this. Now, I want the height of this to be twice what it currently is. Our project is currently 1920 by 1080, 1080 being the vertical height. This making sense to you, Mr. Morley?
It is, yes.
All right, good, good, good. I just, if anything is not making sense, I want you to give me input back. Please, please, please. Or if somebody says, hey, I'm confused, and by the way, feel free to write. He is watching the text to inform me if somebody says, oh, I'm totally lost, this isn't working. All right? So we say, take the height, and we multiply it. Whoops, not put an 8 there. Multiply it times 2. This is going to effectively, because Natron allows us to do math and inside of our value nodes, which is really neat, we can effectively double the value and we'll get 2160. All right, and we can see our OD has now been doubled. All right, so the goal behind this is to make it look like the flames are moving, or the pattern is moving up. All right. So now the way we can test this is, well, we need to bring this down. So if we take our X value and we subtract it to set it to negative 1080, which is exactly one screen length lower, which should take the center point of this screen point and move it to the center point of this black area above. So we hit negative, we do this with the transform, we hit negative 1080. Whoops, not on the horizontal. Let's remove that, set that back to 0, do that on the Y. So it does it vertically. There we go. We've moved it down. All right. And we're going to actually we're going to make sure we're on, whoops, we want to go to frame 1. We're going to set a key here. And then we're going to just set this, we're going to go to the last frame and set it to 0. All right. And so what that's going to do here, if we hit play and watch it, whoops, I must have hit the wrong thing. Here we go. We watch it and we can see our pattern is slowly moving up. Well, that's cool. That makes it look like our noise is moving up, but it doesn't make our noise look like it's actually changing and altering. Fire flickers and changes and moves dramatically. Well, the way we go about doing that aspect of it is we go back to our beginning and we go into our SE noise and we want to mess around with our depth, all right, our noise depth. And so what we're going to do, or our slope, I should say, and I want to just double check. Oh yes. I want to set our slope, first of all. I just want to verify. Yes, I want to set my slope very, very low. I want to put it to 0.01. Now remember, the slope angle is this angle that determines how quickly the Z value moves. The Z value is a Z0. This number up here is the number we're going to be animating. And this is a ramp, okay? And how quickly it moves. The lower the value, the slower I think it's the slower the transition. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. Anyway, I found that to get the effect that we want to set the slope to 0.01. That will get it to be slow, but not super slow. So we can take this and we're going to animate we're going to set a keyframe on frame 1 for the Z0 to 0. And then we're going to go to the last frame. And let me just double check to make sure we'll get this right. I set it to 2. So I'm going to take it up 2 notches for the Z value. And what that's going to do is it's going to basically push our Z being depth. All right. It's going to push this texture towards us or away from us. I'm not sure which. It doesn't really matter. basically 2 Natron units. So if we now, as it's moving it up, it's also pushing this through space, and what we wind up with is this sort of moving, swirling look. And let's zoom in on this so we can see it a little bit better, hopefully.
And I think some of the new Natron users might not understand that even though we're not working in 3D space, you still have certain aspects where, like you're saying, the Z aspect, you are, in a sense, flying through this slice of an image using the Z pass, like you're describing.
Yes. Well, it's actually gets into an aspect of this is actually what a lot of people have don't realize is that Natron is actually working off of what's called OpenGL. This is actually a polygon. We're looking at a predefined cube or quadrangle polygon, and that's why we're dealing with these 4 coordinates. What in 3D, there's the texture maps. Once you start dealing with surface textures to polygons, you don't actually talk about textures in the standpoint of XYZ, because XYZ are cardinal coordinate space things. In other words, if you're dealing with an actual plane value that goes this way, it's usually referred to as X. If you're going up and down, this varies for Blender. From Blender to other programs. In Blender, it reverses Y and Z, but up and down screen relative to two-dimensional screen space is typically considered Y, because that's how your graphics programs typically work. So X is horizontal, Y is vertical, and then Z in a lot of programs is looking in that direction, in or out. And but in Blender, what they do is they actually reverse it. Blender's concept is that you're not looking at the screen, you're looking down at a piece of paper in front of you, and if your piece of paper is this way and you're looking at that, Y would be this way, and Z would be up and down relative to the piece of paper. But the problem is when you start dealing with polygons, you have this thing where they can turn into angles relative to these things, or warp around, and then it's no longer, there's no axis that they actually sit on, and so they came up with this thing that's called coordinate. It's a coordinate style space. It's called UV, and there's actually one a lot of people don't know called W. And W is actually the equivalent of Z inside of texture coordinates. And when you are working, so people have heard of UV maps. Well, inside of, so you've heard of UV maps. That's basically the XY, because most people, UV maps work off of 2 dimensions. Whereas W, procedural textures like this, are actually what are called UVW textures, because they actually have depth to them. And so what we are calling Z0 is actually pushing this texture in the W space. All right, I'm just
got it.
Now you understand. But it's really not, because it's really complicated weirdness, and because we're actually
I'll throw a link on coordinate space in the stream here.
Oh, it gets into weirdness. So anyway, so we've made this. So what does this all mean? What does it mean from the standpoint of this? Well, what this has done is when we apply our actual colors to this, we can see we get something that looks more or less like fire. And you're saying, well, it still doesn't look like fire. It's just a wall of fire. Well, how do we make it not look like a wall of fire? Well, the way we not make it look like a wall of fire is we control what it gets to a final mask for these colors over here on our left. Right now, if we back this up, we can see it's burning, but it's burning in a big wall. Well, all right, let's go back over here. We're going to put a merge node out of this. We're going to merge this, and what we're going to do is we're going to say, okay, I want to. The first most obvious thing here is we're going to put in a ramp node. All right, so we'll put in a ramp, and we're going to, for the ramp, what we're going to do is we're first going to try and just make it look like a wall of fire going up. And because this is the point at which you can do whatever you want at this point. Hopefully, we'll get, by the end of this video, we'll get to the point where we'll have burning text. But if we don't, you know, I will go through the bits afterwards. All right, so here we go. We have this. And right now, the first thing you're saying is, oh, well, that doesn't look like, that's not looking like what I expected. That is actually because what I think we want to do is take this like so and pump the A in, because we want to remove from this a bit of what's there. We want to subtract. We want to merge our SE noise over nothingness. Okay, so that's why we have B going into it. A with the B empty means that we're taking a channel that is a straight alpha channel, and we're putting it into a mask, and our mask is defined by this ramp. Except for the problem right now is our ramp is reversed of what it is. We have it going from blackness into fire, which is the opposite of what we want to do. So the easiest way to fix this is, well, we would take the ramp and we would just reverse these two. We'll take this, the Y value of 0.0, and set it down, set it up to 300, and take the Y value of 2 down to 0 or whatnot. We'll take this up a bit and we can play with this more. All right, let's just see. Does this look like fire? Now, when we go over here and we start to play with this, that looks a lot more like fire, but I think we want to maybe have more control. So you know what I think we might want to do? I'm debating. I just want to make sure I'm attacking this with the same. Yes, I did. I approached it with the same in the same fashion. All right, so I did bring this in. Right. Yes. All right. So, all right. Let's first not worry. We're not going to focus on the fact that it's one of the problems we're facing. Actually, let's tackle a small issue that we're going to just disable in a bit, which is we want this to burn. We want this to glow at the end. So we're going to glow this because it's not really... Whoops. I accidentally didn't hit tab. I hit... Ugh, let's just... All right. Natron's being a little slow. Tab. Glow. We're going to put a glow filter here. And for our glow down here, I just want to get my values right so I know exactly what I got. All right. So, for people who don't know what glow does, glow makes things do exactly what it says. Glow. The way you typically glow is, the easiest way to glow is to boost up your gain value for it so that hot spots get basically glowy. But we need to make sure that that bits that we want to be hot fall into the hot area, and the way that's done is we alter this isolate highlights, and what we're going to do is we're going to lower this so that more highlight area, more colors fall into that highlight zone. So I'm going to put 0.01 for the highlight area, which should make it, you can see that made this really start to glow here, and we really start seeing down in this area these hot yellow areas start glowing. So let's just, for the moment, we're going to disable this. This is before and this is after, and you can see that it's really made those start to glow, and the whole thing should look a lot more like fire at this point. Now remember, this is designed, we have the colors set up here so that we can also put, and we want an OCIO node in here as well. That's the other thing we want in here. Let's put that before our glow because we want everything coming through it. OCIO color space in here, and I want to take this and I want to set this because it was designed to work with an sRGB. If you remember from last week, we merged this over a Shadertoy, and the Shadertoy was designed to work in sRGB, so we want this to start with sRGB, and it seems to have... Uh-oh. What's going on here? This has gotten really, really, really slow. I hope we have not crashed Natron. It looks like
Might be time to pull out the cannon.
Oh, yeah, I'll agree with you, Mr. Morley. It be cannon on. When Natron starts acting up, what do? We hit the cannon. I'm teaching Natron, take that. Oi, that's no good. We don't want you doing that. Natron, we're going to close you. I'm going to just have to close this. And we have that up. That's nothing. Disregard that little bitty thing. We'll pull this up. Hopefully Natron will correct itself. And pull up our project. Oh, I lost me. Oh, fudge muffins. I lost me. I just lost me example file as well.
Oh no.
It is what it is. Now, from now on, we're going to wing it. We're already, well, we're at 31 minutes into this anyway. We've gone into it. Honestly, you have the core elements for burning things at this point. So this should be good enough for people to burn anything. Honestly, all we've got to do is pretty much something we've done in the past. We did something with chisel fonts in the past where we took for the chisel fonts, I'm going to just describe this as we're waiting for this. In the chisel fonts, as you remembered, we blurred the a text node so that the blur affected the yes, we're going to bring this back in, and I'm going to tell you right now, we may not get to the particle aspect of this. All right, let's talk about this later. What we're going to do, oh, it seems to have, oh, I see what it did. That's very weird. Wait a minute. No, that was really weird. All right. So here we have it after the glow. This is before the glow, and this is before the OC. Oh no, that's not. We don't have. All right, we're gonna set this to sRGB. And you know what I'm gonna do, just to be on the safe side, I'm gonna save our project as. And you know what I haven't done? I haven't gone into our actual Natron projects and made an actual folder for this. So I need to make, this is going to be episode 19. Episode 0019. And we'll call this burn, B-U-R-N, burning, underscore, well, text, underscore live, underscore 001. All right, that way we get it all there. It's good to go. And now, if Natron does decide that it doesn't want to cooperate, so for now we're going to keep these off because these nodes actually can cause Natron to do nasty things. But at the end, you're going to actually pipe them through this. And don't you dare crash on me again, Natron. Don't you do it.
Don't you do it.
Don't you do it. Oh, crud. Oh, there's one other thing we forgot to do. And I know why it's crashing. We didn't put oh, crumbs. We forgot to clamp our things. We need to clamp our result. I talked about clamp nodes. Oh, fudge. All right, that's why it's crashing. The glow node gets all hissy if you don't clamp before the glow node. So you need to clamp glow nodes or before you do a glow node. I apologize. That was my own fault. I'll get it.
Good thing to know, though. It's a good example on why you want to use the.
Well, the problem is, yeah, it starts. Otherwise, if you start pushing it past, what happens is the glow node goes, "Oh my gosh, we're going to be pushing up into color spaces that are ridiculously high, and it has to do all this additional math that is irrelevant to the end result." The whole reason that you put your glow nodes at the end of your whole chain is because you want to keep your glow nodes. They're very time-consuming nodes, and the more math they have to do, the harder it becomes to deal with. So we need to always clamp before you get to your glow nodes, and always, actually, you should clamp before you do your color transformation as well, because color transforming can also do, because colors can, it can say, oh, look at this, these other colors exist in this new color space we're transforming into, we should deal with those. And we're like, no, we don't want to do that. We want to keep what we're seeing on the screen and turn it into the new color space, not take the colors that are outside of our existing color space and make them work, turn into it. Because that's what would happen otherwise. All right. So
and what you're saying is I may not see those colors you're talking about because I'm on a screen that can't display those extra colors.
Correct. This will literally take things. So what I want to do is, right after this merge node, I want to put a clamp here. And I'll tell you right now, I'm not the best at adding clamps. So I put the clamp here. What that does is taking the end result of everything, and it clamps it for this. Then after this, and you can see it changed our output result. See how that changed it? Watch this. Disable that. Oh, yeah, you're not going to do it now, are you, Natron? Oh, you bugger. All right, it's clamped it. Basically, whoops, I didn't mean to do that. It didn't register the key I hit first. I hit the D key first. You can see I'll hit delete there to delete that node. All right, D key to disable it. Anyway, this is clamping it before here, and I'm just for safety precautions after the OCRO, I'm also going to clamp it. Just to ensure, we're going to double clamp it just before we get to the glow node. And just to be, because I'm hypersensitive about this type of things and things pushing things beyond, I'm going to clamp it after the glow node, because we're multiplying, as you remember. With clamp node, we're doing a multiply. We're taking the gain up times 3, which means we're pushing it up 3 times. If it's white, it's going to push it up past white, which means we need to also clamp that. All right, so that our output. So these 3 nodes, really, you want to have a clamp. And just to be on the safe side, I'm going to save it. Let Natron get ahead, save that, and then let's take a look. I want to make sure this is working. There we go. We have a functional result. That is what we expected at the end. Yay. All right. And if we disable the glow... Oh, no, I didn't want to... I did not want to grade that. I wanted to disable the glow. Re-enable the glow. It does not look like the glow is affecting it very much. I have a feeling the problem is that we may be getting an alpha channel in here. No? Why is my glow? Did we lose our gain? I don't know. We're not going to worry about it. If you glow, you can always pump your glow value up higher. I don't have enough of my original thing. I want to get over to these other bits to show you how you can change this. Basically, what we do is how we want things to burn is completely based off of what we put into this merge node, all right? So everything, particles, anything we want is what goes into this point here, all right? So we need to make sure at this point we get it, we clamp it, and we also want to clamp, we also, just to be on the safe side here, we also want to clamp the output of this before it goes in here. We don't want it over pushing the alpha channel, because that's another possibility. So we'll keep that clamp node there as a result as well. And I'm going to put it above so we can... All right. We're going to be focusing up here just a little bit. I think we're running low on time. We did text. Text node. We're going to put a text node in here. Text node. We're going to look at this text node. We're going to center this text node. We're going to put in the words Natron. All right, and we're going to make it obviously ultra heavy. Remember that we're using Arial. I think I set this to 200 for the size. I'm not positive. Don't remember. Don't have it open to verify. Something like that. So here's the thing. We need to, because fire. What we need to do is we need to blur this. So we're going to hit B, which is going to add a blur node. All right, and I'm going to blur this. We're going to be doing this. We're going to take 2 variants of the same thing and blur them together for the end result. So we're going to make a blur node. All right, and what we're going to do for this blur node is, I think I set it to, like, I don't know, 20. maybe 30. Oh man, I'll forget. I think it is actually 40 for this one. Might have even been higher. Oh, I don't know. Anyway, we take it 20 to 40, something like that. And on this other one, what we're going to do, we're going to we're going to down here, we're going to just for the moment, we're going to hit a period here. We're going to hit the period key. The period key adds a dot node, and I'm just going to attach that just so I can put a blur node down here as well. And the reason is this blur node, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this to a much lower blur value of, oh, I don't know, maybe, I'll think around 5 to 10. 6 will be fine. All right. The reason I'm doing this is what I want to do is I want to have an inner flame and an outer flame. But the problem with the outer flame is this is actually, now that I'm looking at it, this is actually not blurry enough. I think I want to have this at like 140. Yeah, I want to have this up at a very high level where it's almost unreadable.
Some of your graph is behind my picture.
All right. Well, all right. So, okay. So we have two nodes here. We have two nodes coming out of our text node. All right. We have two blur nodes. I used a dot node so I could branch off two. I have, and we're just looking at these. The first blur node we're setting to a value currently, I'm just doing 110 because I'm not positive if that was what it was. The second one I'm keeping very readable, all right? This one is going to be the flames that are outside of our Natron, all right? And so the way we're going to do that is we need to merge these two together, all right? To make a single node. This one, the reason we're blurring this a little bit is so that the text is still readable, but it'll blend softly into the outer text out here. All right, that's going to be our outer flames. And so what that means is we need to obviously merge the two of these. And I think I did it. I can't remember if I did it this way. But what we're going to do, what that ultimately means is I believe we've got to put those in like that. And when we go down here to this, I believe what I did is I subtracted. Oh, yes. We need to obviously adjust. All right. So we're not affecting this. We want to affect the mask. We want to actually add it to the mask chain. This here is where this is going to be put in. So what we want to do is merge with this, all right? And as you can see, that changed everything. As soon as we did that, as soon as we put this in as our mask channel, you can see what we wind up with is our text, our readable text with something less readable around the edges of it. And right now I can already tell you this blur might be just a wee bit too big, so I might take this down a bit. And I'm also going to, because I want this to be a little more drastic and have small nooks and crannies, I'm also going to put a multiply node here. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to multiply. Whoops, no, wrong key. Wrong key, there we go. I want to hit tab, hit an mult, to put a multiply, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, all right, I want to just, so we're aware, I'm going to be taking the value out of this, and I'm going to be increasing it so that it's more powerful, more significantly brighter. I'm going to set it to about 4, and what that's going to do is just, when it gets merged over this, okay, I think it's not. Did this work? Why does it not? I think it might be too. I think I need to actually take and clamp the output of this. Let me just double check. Hold on. Let's look down here. What's it doing here? All right. If I turn off this multiply, is it physically changing this? It does not look like it's actually changing our alpha channel, which means that this is probably going in reverse. Is that what I want? I just need to verify that we get this working correctly. We're not getting anything out of this that looks more brighter than the other one. So what I think we actually may want to do, just to be on the safe side, we're going to play. Oh, this is why I wish I had. You know what? I'm going to just open up my other project. Otherwise, we're going to have a problem here. What's this one? I'm going to apologize. Yes, we'll open that. It's going to open it in another spot.
And don't forget, if you have any questions, go ahead and type them in the Facebook stream, and I'll pass them along.
Yes, ask the questions. Ask away, ask away. All right, let me look at what I did over here. I had taken it, I had multiplied it by a value of 4. I set the blur to a size. All right, so this blur here should be at not 60, but a size of 20. All right. And then I multiplied it times. I took this I multiplied it in the real McCoy by 4, as I thought I had. So set it to 4.0. All right, and then what did I do? I clamped the output of this. So I take this and I clamp it, and the reason for that is to bring the ultimate value, what must have been happening. Let me verify. And I clamped it to the range. I wanted to take the output result, and I wanted to clamp it so that it fit. I wanted to take this and clamp it down so it was in here. So this is what I started with. This is what I ended with. Honestly, it doesn't look... I'm not sure why I did that. Because it's looking... Did I... Let me just verify in here the same thing. 1... No, I'm getting a different result there. Why am I getting a different result? Multiply by 3. Multiply by 4. Unpremult. I think I have a value that's not set right somewhere. I'm sorry, everybody. Aha! Here's the problem. Our multiply needs to be applying to our alpha channel. Hoi, Natron doesn't normally to make the multiply affect the alpha channel, so I need to tell it specifically that I'm affecting the alpha channel, which brightens it up like so, and there we go. This is what we want as our final result, and then which makes it brighter and wider, which will make the transition over here much wider. Now, when we merge this, I just need to do... Okay, here what I did is I took this original source and I subtracted it from this. So instead of doing it over, the problem is right now we can see all we see is the original. What I want to do is take my output from here, and I believe I subtract this. So that, or I change the merge to a subtract. I think it's subtract. Oh, excuse me, it's minus. Got to be careful. Got to be careful with that type of stuff. All right, why did that not work? Why did that not work? Minus. Something here is not working correctly. All right. Is this affecting the alpha channel? It is. All right, that doesn't make any sense. Minus. Hold on one moment. This goes in there, that goes out there. Oh, come on. Mine. Let's look at this. Well, that's odd. One moment. That's going somewhere else. What is that? Hold everything. All right, we need to go into another, just a side tangent for a minute, because we need to build, we're going to build the particles. All right, I'll get back to this because everything from this point on is very dependent on us having particles that are sparks, because the sparks are a very important part. So people remember in a few episodes back, Oh boy, I'm sorry. We're running long. That we made particles or stars. All right. So what we're gonna do over here is we're gonna make an SE noise. All right. We're gonna make our SE noise. And what this SE noise is here is we're going to also make this work off of, where is our, wait a minute. We're going to put the ramp over here a little bit so it's out of the way. All right. I want this constant that is feeding our SE noise here, this big SE noise, to also affect this SE noise here. All right. So that this SE noise is also the same length. But we're going to turn this SE noise from what it is right here, from an FBM, to a cell noise, which gets that. And then we set our cell noise to a size of 8, which gives us these tiny wee bitty things. All right. Whoops, I hit a number. Should have been 0.8. It should have given us tiny little things like so, which are really small for some reason. Not 0.8. 8 return. There we go. We get these tiny little nooks. Then what we're going to do is we're going to basically transform it in the exact same way we transform this. So we're going to copy this node because we want it to transform in the same, almost exact same way. All right. So it's going to, what this is going to do is it's going to start it. It's going to animate it over time. All right. So this pushes up. So we get our sparks will fly upwards. All right. Then what we're going to do is we're going to clamp this. And then remember when we made stars in the Star Wars, the May the 4th episode, we clamped it. And the way we clamped... hold on. We need to stop this. Rewind. Go over here. Remove this. Call it transform. Hit tab. There we go. Clamp this. Using a lot of clamp nodes here. We're going to be clamping the two of these. What we're going to do for this clamp node, I want to make sure, because I don't want to waste time, I'm going to enter it exactly. We're going to be clamping, we're going to, first of all, we're setting it so that it clamps to the maximum and minimum to black and white. So whatever these two end up as, it doesn't matter what they are, it's going to force the minimum value to black and the maximum value to white. So what we're going to do is actually set this minimum value way up very, very close to white. So everything that falls below that value becomes black, which will make almost all of this noise disappear. So ready? Watch what's going to happen. We're going to get in nice and close, and what's going to happen is almost everything except for something like this really white one is going to disappear. And the way we'll just start rolling this up. We can see as we roll this up, it causes them to slowly disappear. And so what we ultimately want to have is this is 0.996 was what I wound up with. And that gets it down to this pattern level, which looks like that. All right. So that's exactly, almost exactly how we made the stars. Except for this time, instead of stars, what we're going to be doing is turning these into particles. And the way we're going to do, as we know with the stars, the problem is at this point, these are very, very, very hard. So what we're going to do is use an erode smooth, the erode smooth. And for what our erode smooth is going to do is it's going to take our image and it's going to, and we need to make sure our erode smooth is also working on the alpha channel. That's another thing. Always, 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 we need to make sure our things are working on the alpha channel because that's what we are working on. All right, so for our erode smooth, we're working on the, wait a minute, this is saying according to this, it's not working on the alpha channel. I take it back, turn off the alpha channel, according to I'm doing this, oh right, because we're going to be distorting it. We'll be, all right, don't worry, you'll see what's going on in a minute, and that might be why I had to come up with one of my other solutions. All right, so, all right, we're going to set this to a size of 2, all right, for the size, which is going to eat into it and soften. You can see it anti-aliased a lot of that, but it's too hard. It's made them too small. And so what we're going to do is to reduce this from 5 for the exponent to 1, which is going to bring it back up, and we wind up with these beautifully soft little anti-aliased bits, which is really, really nice, and it's a lot more stable than using a lot of anti-aliasing nodes, and it gives it a nice soft edge. All right, so I believe that's it. I just am double checking our things. We used quadratic, we used all that. Good. All right, this is correct. That's where we want to be. So now the problem is all right, let's zoom back a little bit. If we hit play at this point and we watch our sparkies, our sparks are going up, but they're going straight up. They're not going up and zigzagging around. We want them as they go up to move back and forth like particles. How do we make them move back and forth like particles? Simple. We distort them. We're going to say,
I distort. I know.
I distort. You're right, Mr. Morley. I distort. So we're going to hit tab. I'm going to put in IDIS. We're doing this as fast as physically possible. I distort. Now, as we remember from the previous post, because I've used I distort in the past, I'm trying to remember where we used it, or forget which episode we used it on. Do you remember, Mr. Morley?
I don't. A few back.
A few back we used iDistort. iDistort basically makes things wobble based off of a UV map. The problem is if we don't feed it a UV map, it will by default not do anything. It's going to just sit there. You wind up with a black result. So we have to pipe something in. I'm going to get more into the iDistort at a later date because there's more to it. You'll notice it says U and V, and as we talked about before, U means X and V means Y, and that's exactly what it actually means in this case. But we're not going to be dealing with it. We're just going to be dealing with it today. We're going to leave it. Actually, I think we might actually. I just want to double check over here. Did I actually... Do I actually feed it? No, I don't. All right, we're going to keep it here. All right, so here we go. We're going to feed it our original mask, our original SE noise over here. This one right here. This is what we're going to be using as our distortion noise as it leaves here. We're just going to use it because it already exists. It means we don't have to calculate another SE noise map, but we don't need it in its transformed state. We're just going to keep it in its default state. And that's going to make these things bubble back and forth so long as the iDistort node is set so that that the distort scale is high enough. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this one, the UV scale, and we're going to start pumping this up. And the number we're going to put in here is 30. And when we do that, we see that this is offset. And this might go a little bit slow here, but hopefully we can see, you can see this is causing the bits to bubble ever so slightly back and forth like real particles in flame. All right. So we're not going to let that render all the way through because we want to keep going. So the problem we have at this point is that this is no good. This is we need to isolate this. If we were to merge this over our fire, we would see fire going through all the particles at this point. All right, if we put it here, let's take it, put it over our fire particles, and we can't. Oh, I don't know if we're going to see it unless we go back down here. Whoops, it didn't. I hit the wrong key apparently. If we put it down here, we wind up with fiery particles all over the screen, which is not what we want. We want fiery particles basically around where our text is going to be, right? So how are we going to do that? What we need to do is basically look at our text and say, okay, well, actually, we're going to look at our original text, and we're going to create a mask that masks out these particles at specific points. So the mask that we're going to make is with a roto. So we're going to hit tab here. We're going to type in roto, and we're going to put a roto draw in here. And at this point, you know, we've run so late. I think it's time, Mr. Morley. Do you think it's time I should just bring up the final product and decide and just go through it and explain what's going on? Or do you think I should continue with?
I think you should. I think because you're so close at this point, I think we just continue.
All right. I'm going to let him. He's going to decide this.
We're gonna save the project first, and we're gonna move on.
All right, we're going to
bonus
save
round.
the project. Yes, good point. Good idea. We're going to save this project. We've saved the project. So, rotor nodes. We really haven't gone into rotor nodes. What rotor nodes are? They're customized. They're a way of creating curves, kind of like what SVGs are, except for them animatable inside of Natron. And we're not going to go into deep into it right now. What we're only doing today is we're going to use it to create a black and white alpha mask that we're going to be working with. And the way we're going to do this is we're going to be using this little thing here, and we're going to just keep it on the original one. And when I click down a point, it's going to put a point onto my thing. And I just want to bring up my roto mask over on my original so I can get a reference for what I want my mask to look like for a final. And so what I'm basically going to do is I'm going to zoom out a little bit here. I'm going to create a mask, and I'm just going to here, with this tool selected, okay, I'm going to click here, which puts down a point, and I want these to, as they move away from our text letters, so to have room to distort out if the distort node pushes it away. So I'm going to put it out over to there, then I'm going to go to the other side here, try to keep it kind of parallel, and then I'm going to come down to this corner here. And then I'm going to basically trace around the edge of my entire text node until I get to points, cut across at the widest points between the letters. And then I'm going to just go up, down here, and then I'm going to go...
And I think one of the nice things about the roto node is you can totally customize the mat that you're making.
That's right. That's all we're doing, is we're making a custom mat. And so here, and then at this point, actually, we're going to actually modify this a little bit in a minute, because we actually have a couple points. I'm just going to go from here to here, and then I'm going to get them down like, this, I think, then up, then over, then down, then over, then I think I want to, I'm thinking about this. I want that to go there, 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 there. And this is, I'm going to just go back. I'm going to edit. So now that we've closed our mask, what's happened is we wind up with these points. And I'm actually going to pull these up. I actually want to pull this up. So there's a little bit of a, what I'll call a vapor trail or something like that, where it's sort of, the A goes up at an angle from this point up towards here. I just want to make it look like they trail up and then hit this and merge. All right. And the same thing over in here. These 2 points, I actually want to add this little plus node. I'm going to use this to add a point in here. I'm going to put that in there, then go back, and I'm going to drag it around, and I'm going to turn that to a cusp, I believe it is. How do I do that? I think it's with, forget which one it is. I think if you actually double click it, if we right click and say cusp, that turns it into a point. All right. And I think that we can do that for all of these. I just want these to be cusps. All right. We want all of them to be cusps. And what cusp means is it's just a single point. All right. And we're going to we're going to add another point in right over here. I want to add in 1 point here. I apologize. I should have done these as I went. And I'm going to drag that one up. Whoops. I want to, drag that one up. And then I want
so in your mind, you're basically imagining where you want the sparks to start emitting from the font itself.
I'm imagining mask, where right? I want them
you're drawing it.
Yeah, basically this is the spots where I want the mask, or I want the font here. Hold on 1 second. I'll get to that in 1 second. Okay. Let me just finish drawing these maps, and once I get these up, I will go over that a little bit clearer. So I'm going to select these two. I'm going to right click and cusp them. All right, so what these basically are is I'm envisioning this is where the area of the font where the spark is coming from, and where the two areas of the two overlap. So it's moving up in this direction, and then it sort of overlaps. This one probably could be up higher. This one, it doesn't matter. The idea is we get something along the lines of this. I'm actually debating. Yeah, no, this is good enough for our purposes. I think. Yeah, you know what? I think I want the. It's good enough. It's good enough. This is our. So if we go into our A, why did that not go? That should work. Why? Oh, we're not actually looking at it. So if we go back to here and look at our alpha channel, we see that this is what our actual alpha coming out of the roto node is. All right. So the question is how are we going to incorporate that to mask out those? All right. Well, we also, the big problem we face with this is also just going to, right now, this mask, if we look at it, it's solid white. I don't want when the sparks traverse up, I want them to slowly lose energy and burn out as they fade up towards the top. And right now, this does not happen. So back here at our ramp, if we look at our ramp over here, we already have a ramp. If we put this ramp inside of this shape, we will get it to fall off. So I'm going to go over to my ramp node. I'm going to first double click on my rotor node so that it's still selected, then double click on my ramp node so that that's there so I can see the two together. And I'm going to just take my wall value and I'm going to just push it up, push it up. Oh, look at that. Look, we can see that. That's actually, this is why we have clamp nodes in there. That's not supposed to probably be there. But anyway, we want to bring that up. So it's about there. That's good enough. And then we're going to bring the bottom half of it up. And we're going to need to bring this up to 100. I'm just going to put out 100. And we're going to bring that up so that it's somewhere around the beginning of this. And sure, we're going to actually keep them, we'll keep them perfectly hot until they get to the top of the, until they get to the top of this, which is right about there. That's good enough. We're close enough to the top. All right. So now what we want to do, so we need to, that is this. All right. So what we want to do is say that this is this is our mask. Let's look at this over here. We want this ramp here to be influenced by this mask. All right, let's see what that does. And look at this. Are we looking at the alpha? Why does that not look right to me? That is not right. Something's wrong. Let me take the A. Whoops. I just lost this here. Hold on. I just am double checking. Yes, this goes in A, I believe. And all right, I believe, what did I do? Oh yes, I did in for this. So we changed this from out or from over to in, I believe, and then I go A, and there we go. We can see by setting this to in, what I've done is I set it so that B appears inside of A, all right, which puts it inside of the mask, and therefore we wind up with this, what looks like a skyscraper skyline with that going on, all right? And the other thing I think I might do is I might actually add one other mask into this. You know what? I want to do one other thing here. I'm going to merge this with another ramp. I'm going to just duplicate this ramp here. I'm going to copy it and pipe it in here so that, and change this to from over to max. And for people who don't know what max and over does, what we're doing here is I'm going to take the two of these ramps and I'm going to just set it so that our A value, I'm going to reduce it, I think, so that I'm going to change it so that I want to reduce it so that it's below here. And do I want to do max or min? I think I want to do min, actually. Yes, min. That's what we want. We want to get this as our result so that at the top of our, basically the top of our text, which should be, if we pull up our text again, our text shape, let's double, oh, we got to pull up the text. don't know if this is going to be able to be viewed. You know what? We're going to get into doing this. I'm going to hit 2 over here, and I'm going to hit W, which is a shortcut I meant to show you. We can see that the white area here, W is this white thing. It allows us to look at 2 different things at the same time. You can see that the W, this white area is very close to the top. The hottest point is going to be right near the top of our letters. And that's what I want to just make sure it happens there. All right. So I'm going to go back here. I'm going to turn off W. I'm going to just, for the sake of my sanity, get rid of 2, because if you don't have that, do that, it can create all kinds of nastiness. All right. So we have this. So now this is showing our up moving thing. This is going to be used as a mask to remove. I just want to make sure. Oh, this is so confusing at this point. I'm double checking this. So we've got our min going over there. That comes into this roto. Right, the roto comes in here. It's in this. This is going out as a mask. Okay, so this is going to be a mask to this. All right, so I need to do a merge node here. And I want to... This merge node is going to be merging this, our particles. All right, so let's look at this. We're going to be taking our particles here. All right, they're going to be the background. And we're going to be merging them with the outside, which is this. All right. But we're going to be masking it so that they don't exist anywhere but above this by doing I grabbed the wrong node, by using this mask that we just made like that. But I seem to have a problem here. That is not what I think I'm supposed to be seeing here. I'm just going to verify. This is merge over. I see what the problem is. We're supposed to put the sparks on top of it, like so. Da 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 da. There we go. So the problem before was we were having the mask effect that this was the background, or this was above this, which the problem is the mask, and so this mask was not handling it properly. It was treating it in the opposite way we wanted it to. By reversing it, now what we do is we wind up with our sparks coming out of, we're using this mask, or I should say this mask, for our sparks coming out of this. And when we animate it, we can see that we have sparkies coming out of the top of this that are distorting coming out of it. And so we have basically sparks coming off of the top to create our sparks coming out of our fire. All right? Whew, that was...
With no particles in Natron whatsoever.
There's no particles in
awesome.
Natron. Isn't that cool? I thought that might come across as cool. I know this is a long, complicated thing. Hoi!
But it's worth it.
But yeah, exactly. We're getting there. So then we take that and we subtract that from, I think it was, we subtract that, was that we did our minus to that, which is, all right, why are we not getting what we expect here? All right, let me just double check and see that we got this right. It should be B coming in here. This is minus. Let me make sure my merge over was set correctly. Merge over. This is correct. This is correct. This is correct. Everything there is correct. This is correct. Oops, I think this is correct. This is the minus. Minus alpha masking union. Good. Mask. Aha. Mask is none. Color A. That means there's a mask coming into this. Aha. That is our mask from there, which is that, which is this. All right. So this mask here, which comes from our eye distort. This mask here is needs to come into this here. Bam. All right. Which causes a problem here. This creates the, all right, this is a weirdness, I think. Oh yes, the problem we ran into. So the problem we're going to run into is that the sparks were too soft. They're not bright enough. And there's no good way to make them brighter inside of Natron at this point. So if we get rid of this, and if we were to get rid of this and turn this mask to none, I think it was, I ran out, I think I screwed up my mask. Oh well, I'm required to do it this way now anyhow. Switch it back to I, there it is. Let me just double check this. So this was, mask is color A, that's what we got here. This is going down here. All right. So here, this one, let me just verify where I'm coming from here. I just saw it comes down here and it merges to that. No, wait a minute, something's wrong here, or
I think you showed the concept of all the pieces and what you're trying to do with the separate pieces. So if you want to switch over to the project that you're going to actually put on Natron Nation.
I accidentally connected the wrong one. This is where it should have been. This was where we were supposed to be. We were supposed to apply the flames at this point. This merge node here was on my other project. It was going through, so I had thought it was a different thing. It connects to our transform to our fire here, which of course applies our fire to our mask, which is why it is. It uses. Without this, let's just put this in for a second. If I set this back alpha to none, oh fudge muffins! All right, we're gonna disable our mask. No, we're gonna put it back to I. We're gonna disable. Oh, darn you, Natron! We're gonna invert the mask. Nope, it's not gonna work. Just know that when we pipe this in, it basically this merge node basically applied our texture over here to the overall thing, which as you can see now makes it so that where this is very bright, it becomes very dark and it creates these holes and it makes it look like there's less flames. This is our text area here is on fire. It's the letters, but these little bitty spark pits are using this clamped area to create this sort of eaten into. It's subtracting that away, and so it's eroding it out of it. It's very important to understand that that's what's happening here, and that's what's creating these dark, dark, dark areas. And then we ultimately, of course, are going to clamp that over here, which I just want to know. I think we don't. You know what? For the time being, we'll just take that, and I'm going to say we have something. I think we can actually use this. And look at our final result, which is going to be, oops, we're looking at the alpha channel as opposed to the final result, which I think we've got something here, but the problem is as you can see, our sparks are really, really, really dark. Okay, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull over our final thing here, and it's kind of hard. This is going to get really complicated. I know this. Oh, you know what? I'm going to revert this, reload the project, discard. I'll keep it over in this format when I have it off the screen so I can easily see the properties without seeing things. I'm going to reload it so we can actually see it in the format everybody's expecting, and I'm going to resize it over to this so we have it full screen here. All right, so you can see in our final here the difference is that the sparks are much brighter, and the way it was done is I basically broke off a branch of our particles and I ran them off and I clamped them separately. Here, let's see if I can. This may take it a bit. Oh, I don't think the viewer node has caught up with us. There we go. So I branched it off over here. And I from here, and I clamped. What I did is I took our text node this, and I subtracted this white from these particles. Okay, so that where this white text is on these particles, we're going to create a void, and you can see it here. Okay, we did a from. This is a from node, all right? So this is the background, is our stars, and we subtract from that our white clamp, which is this, and we wind up with a black void. So what this means is that no particles in that area are, this is basically to clear out the particles from in front of the text fire. All right. Then I'm going to reclamp it so that we don't wind up getting that black to drop way down, because remember that was a -4, and so we don't want that. Then we're going to go over here and we're going to multiply. I'm going to take this and pipe in the what I've done is I've taken our output that was the flames. This is what we were feeding our fire before. And now I'm going to multiply that by this value in here. All right, which I've multiplied it 4 times, all right? But I'm multiplying it 4 times only to the things that come in through this particular mask over here, which is this mask is everything, all the sparks, and not the text, right? Does that make sense, Mr. Morley?
It does. There's a lot going on, but yes.
All right. I'm sorry, my projects aren't always the neatest things in the world. So what I've done, again, one more time, this subtracts the text, the outline, all the width of the text, which is this, from our particles. So we wind up with a void of the text. Then we take that and use it as a mask for this multiply node. So everything that this multiply node is going to affect, the only thing this multiply node is going to affect are the things that are inside this mask, which are the particles only, not the text. And then that means that we can control the brightness of the particles. And just to prove that this works, I'm going to take our particles and I'm going to just brighten and dim them, use this multiply node. So I'm darkening the particles. This is basically where the particles started at. And by brightening this up, you can see I can make the particles super duper duper bright. And if I keep going super duper bright, you'll also notice in my original project, I had a problem because the particles are leaking over here on the side, and we don't want that to be. So the truth is, what we want it to be is about 4, so that these particles are about the same, these particles on the side that are about the same size are about the same brightness as the actual fire from the Natron, and so they don't actually affect it. And what that ultimately means is when we actually do the color composite, they more or less disappear because they're not in the actual final comp when we get after the OCIO. If we look at it here, we might, nope, they're still not showing up through that mask. So then by the time we get down here and add in our final thing over here, which, oh yes, we need to, whoops, we add in our glowy. Oh yes, and of course the final thing of the entire thing would be to back here put in our, this is our sparks for our Shadertoy sparks, which are designed to work with this. So all we do is pipe that in with the screen node over here. And lo and behold, when we go back here to full size, we wind up with our Natron, with our sparks coming over it, and that is how we get to the end result. Which, as we know, it's a long, complicated process. This is why I didn't do it last time and kept the Shadertoy thing. I'm sorry. If people have questions, please, 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 feel free to comment in the questions and so forth later on. Today's goal was to create this. Before the text, or before the pen, and this is after we added the sparklings with the Shadertoy, which was last week's. Now we're going back to Mr. Morley and myself, and so Mr. Morley, do you have any comments on this? Complex?
No, I think it was a lot of ground to cover, but if you compartmentalize it into the separate pieces that you were displaying, it's great because you can take just that spark section and use it for a multitude of things. It doesn't have to just be for fire, but you could use that spark idea to create all kinds of things. There's
absolutely
no particles in Natron, so it's great.
Well, this is, I think I might have mentioned in a forum post, just because we're talking here and I want people to understand. I mentioned before, I think when I was creating the stars in I don't know if I had mentioned it when I was creating the stars for the May the 4th video, that that this is something that we can do all kinds of interesting things with those. And this is one of the things I had mentioned. Somebody had mentioned, in fact, somebody had wanted to know on the forums how to do sparks for fire for an effect. And I said, there's a whole lot. It's kind of hard to do sparks inside of Natron without going into Shadertoy.
Right.
But as you say, this is one way that we can create it. And you can also do other things like from this. You could use this to create rain. Although I'll say this, I think there's better ways of creating rain inside of Natron. This actually is a rain node for doing rain particles inside of it, but it's GLS based and it might break. Anyhow, do you have anything more we think we should talk about? Because I think we should wrap this up.
No, I think you've covered it all.
All right.
Very interesting episode.
Should we blow up Natron one more time for the sake of?
I don't know. I think Natron deserves a pass this time, because with everything that you did, it only crashed once, and not necessarily crashed, just locked up.
It locked up.
I don't think it deserves one today.
Yes, and for what it is, just so people also understand. To understand, I don't mean to. I'm not trying. This is not meant to brag. I'm trying to just explain that there's a level of efficiency. When I'm doing this, I'm trying to describe this stuff to you guys. And Mr. Morley here, when we were working on this, the Shadertoy thing, we had the night before, Friday night before Saturday. I had shown him the Sparky bit and gone through it. And I tell you, the next day we had the burning Natron. I literally created this in one day, or in one morning. I had it done by I don't know, I think I woke up at 8 in the morning and I was like, I don't feel it's enough. I want to put flaming letters in here. So I created this whole in about an hour and a half, I want to say, maybe 2 hours tops. There is an efficiency level when you get up to higher efficiencies and you get used to this. I'm describing the process so that you all can understand. And I understand that I've seen people comment that this stuff seems confusing and complex. But it really, when you start understanding this stuff, and you might say, oh, this is so far beyond me. It isn't. I believe in everybody. I believe everybody can learn this. I believe everybody has the capabilities of doing this. It just takes a little bit of time. You have to understand things like alpha channels and pre-multiplication and stuff. And when you start, the reason I bring these topics up and why they're hot topics to me is because if you understand them, then you can exploit what they are to do the types of things we just did today. You saw we literally applied basically the past 4 or 5 different episodes into one single thing right here. And I'll guarantee you a lot of you at the time probably were not seeing it as that way. But there's a reason and a method to my madness. And I know I'm mad. I'm a crazy guy. I'm a pirate. What else can I say? Anyhow, we've way pushed this beyond where it is. Yeah. Everybody have a great day. Keep all nature on in, and we'll see you next time. All right.